Hello and welcome to the Rise with Anita podcast. I'm your host, Anita, with the beautiful Melanie Marisol, aka my favorite astrologer and yours, talking about the full moon in Sagittarius we are having in this weekend. So, dear, give us all the deets.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Melanie Marisol. I'm a business astrologer for small and medium enterprise CEOs, helping them figure out the legacy they're meant to leave behind. So for today, we are going to cover the full moon in Sagittarius. So full moons are a time to rest, reevaluate, and also kind of slow down. So full moon, right? The moon is completely full and bright. New moon is time to set intentions. So we're having this full moon in Sagittarius during very frenetic and quirky Gemini season. So it's a good time to take a break from flitting around and actually reevaluate where the heck you're going. As Sagittarius is the cultured, adventure-loving philosopher archetype, whereas Gemini is more of a flitting around cosmic reporter. So if you look at them on an astrological chart, for example, or a zodiac chart, you're going to see that Gemini and Sagittarius are always going to be across from each other. So the third and ninth house, respectively, they're always going to be across from each other. And although both archetypes have a love of learning, Gemini is more into learning what's interesting to them at the moment, whereas Sagittarius prefers to kind of lock themselves away for months at a time to deep dive into like one subject. So for this full moon, the theme is, generally speaking, whatever you touch turns to gold. That is the big theme. So the full moon is happening June 3rd and 4th of this month. So how are we getting to this, right? How would I decide that everything we touch turns to gold? So I'll do a little bit of an astrological weather report, and then we'll get into individual collective horoscopes. So with all this, the moon is trining Mars. So basically, the moon, the collective moon, is going to be interacting favorably with Mars. So you have everything within you to take life by the horns and kind of redirect the ship. So this collective transit is letting everyone's ability to build that inner resilience and inner strength to create the life that they want. So it's a good time to harness this energy to break new ground in industries that you haven't before, trying something new, but also just kind of just steering the ship. So it's not so much like jumping off like a lunatic and just trying something completely new, but you are kind of reevaluating and you're setting yourself up for a pivot. The moon is the innermost self. So whatever it is that you need to do to cultivate the emotional safety within yourself to make the move, this is the time to be doing it. We also have the moon squaring Saturn. So the fiery, free-spirited, optimistic Sagittarius moon is squaring the very stern, responsible daddy Saturn. So Saturn is kind of like the dad of the zodiac, very constricting. So depending on your particular natal placements, this might cramp your style or force you to reevaluate any travel plans that are coming up. So you really want to go travel Europe for the next 3 months, say, for example, but do you have the funds to do so comfortably? Do you have the clients in the pipeline lined up in order to do it? So how about before you just run off and do something super spontaneous with that Sagittarius moon, how about you take the time to consider woofing, for example, while you're traveling abroad? So that way you can satiate your desire to learn new skills while also having a comfortable room and roof over your head. We also have Mercury conjunct Uranus. So that just means Mercury is interacting directly on top of Uranus, basically. So usually when they're interacting, it usually means that there's a Mercury retrograde occurring, which means communication can go haywire. But fortunately for this full moon, Mercury is direct, so no need to worry about a retrograde. So this is a good time to shake up your offerings, strategize your business systems, review to see if they're working, see if there's any broken links in your funnels, for example. And it's also a good time to say something wacky, controversial, and yet brave. So just like that meme.
Bold is the correct statement, Mel.
Right. So whatever it is, you don't want to be like controversial for controversy's sake. That's obnoxious. But it's more of like, what is your spiritual truth? What is the spiritual truth you're trying to communicate? And however polarizing it is, might as well lean into it, as long as it's aligned with your message. And wrapping it up here, we do have Mercury trine Neptune as well. So Mercury, that planet of communication and broadcasting and learning, it does pleasantly interact with the dreamy boundarylessness of Neptune. So how can you weave your dreamy nature, maybe your dreamy inner world? This is especially potent for Pisces midheavens, Pisces risings, and Pisces moons. How can you kind of weave that dreaminess into copywriting that will tantalize and draw in your soulmate clients? So it's time to use this fantasy energy to transfer your dreamy inner world onto the digital one. So I think we're kind of beyond the possibility. I remember back in the day, like in 2017, 2016, 2014, you could post on Instagram and get clients, right? It was a lot more simpler. Nowadays, I'm not going to say it's impossible to do, but this is a good time to kind of utilize Instagram as kind of like an art gallery so people can get to know who you are, and that way they can be drawn into working with you. This is also a time to understand, as much as everyone wants to be an influencer, they want to have a following count and all that stuff. It's not about getting as many likes, it's about getting as many aligned people, their eyeballs onto the work that you're creating so that they pay you money. We do not care about likes. We care about cash, money in the bank.
Exactly. And side note, I'm just gonna give you guys a little tidbit in my personal experience. You will be surprised at how many people will be lurking and not actually liking or commenting on your posts that end up translating into actual paid clients of yours. Meanwhile, your likes and your comments, as great as they are, and we love the interaction, you need to view that as more of just like a social interaction, getting to maybe not necessarily know someone. I don't want to be that bold, but maybe starting to develop a relationship with a person depending on how much you interact with them, versus this person's going to be a set client. Because a lot of times, for some reason, and I have been guilty of being this client myself, the people that are actually going to be interested in your services are not the ones necessarily that are going to like and comment on every post. But it's about creating that rapport in the meantime to go ahead and have that comfortability. So again, take your likes with a grain of salt. It does not mean anything about you and who you are as a person, about whether or not how good or how bad you're doing. Just saying.
Yeah, and I think really since 2020, we really kind of moved away from that model of like, oh, the likes equals, money, or it equals engaged followers. It's just not true. And we got to really step into that Aquarius energy. This is for specifically for this full moon, but this is kind of a collective thing we have to do, period. Stepping into the Aquarius energy of being your weirdest, freaky self, like your truest, most authentic self, and not truly giving a damn if people get you or not. Like, we're really, especially from 2020, I really have sensed like a really big split. There's people that are going to fall in line with whatever it is that the media might be saying, and there's people that are actually asking questions and just doing their own thing, maybe diverging and moving away from urban centers and wanting to live off the land. Like, I'm not saying we gotta do like Little House on the Prairie, but it's more of like, maybe your life is bougie homesteading, where it's like bougie house on the prairie and it's like super posh. Maybe your idea is to live in an RV or something and travel to the US, like whatever it is. But as long as what you want to do, you're doing it because your soul desires it. If you're not doing it to make a YouTube channel, you're not doing it to monetize, you're not doing it to show off. You just genuinely want to go do it. Not everything has to be documented. So with this particular energy, with Mercury trining Neptune, take the energy, get weird, get creative, get dreamy, and then weave it into your writing. Additionally, we do have Venus opposing Pluto. So Venus, the planet of lesser fortune, which is also the planet that rules love, beauty, art, and money, is opposing to Pluto, the planet of death, destruction, regeneration, Phoenix rising from the ashes energy. So this means, with this connection, Venus is kind of clashing with Pluto. So this may mean that when what people love to pay you for may be changing. So it's a wise time to reevaluate and redesign your offers. So for example, have you been itching to do deep work, like longer containers, but find that your business mentors are suggesting that you only do 90-day sprints? Or maybe it's the other way around. So maybe this is the time to play full out and redesign your most magnetic offers that allows you to be the most fully self-expressed, where your natural gifts, talents, and skills can be harnessed and utilized for the greatest impact. So
Back off that right now is sounding like the time for you to really just pick up on your intuition about what your offers that you're creating are going to be that you're excited about. It's not about the client. Yes, you want to attract the client, but you want to be equally excited about that service, about that offer you're offering. Because when you're in that energy of excitement, it also translates to alignment.
yes, yes, excitement equals alignment, even if it doesn't make logical sense. So again, doesn't mean that Venus and Pluto can't get along necessarily, even though they're opposing each other, but it's a death and rebirth around your offerings. And to wrap all that up, from June 3rd through the 6th, the collective energy is potent to turn whatever you touch into gold. So King Midas energy minus touching food and turning that to gold you can't eat. So don't be greedy. It's about being intentional, utilizing that intentional energy. I think a lot of people, especially in Western society, I guess underutilize or misunderstand the potency around intention. That's really what spell casting is, even as something as I guess you could say basic as Harry Potter, where they got the wand, right? The fact that they set the intention and they're doing the magic, that's kind of where all the magic lies. You don't have to have potions. It doesn't have to have a cauldron situation. I'm actually not even into that kind of witchcraft personally, but it's more of like, what is the intention behind where you're steering your ship? So Sagittarius is also the archetype of this adventuring philosopher, very into adventure travel, for example, and learning about different cultures. An unevolved Sagittarius energy is like kind of like a rogue pirate, and we don't want to do that. We want to be more the enlightened professor and engaged student of life. So that is the energy we're moving into. So if you don't have any more questions, we can get into the collective horoscopes.
Now let's just see what is going on for our collective.
All right. So for anybody watching, you don't have to listen to me talk the whole time. There is going to be timestamps below. When it comes to looking at the horoscope, I do it for the sun, moon, and rising or ascendants. And that is because sometimes one of your big three may resonate with you more than the others. So starting off with Aries, sun, moon, and risings, we have a refresh and rebirth around your spiritual beliefs, your deep spiritual soul quest, and your relationship to higher learning. So this is a time to really knock out any dogmatic beliefs that don't actually make sense when you sit down and really think about them. So remove thought patterns and beliefs that don't really serve you. It's a time to review and discard philosophies that don't support your highest evolution. So if you are, for example, raised in a very fundamentalist Christian faith and you're watching this, maybe it's time to really reevaluate, like, did God create the earth in 7 human days? Really? Like, what's maybe we don't have to necessarily literally interpret the Bible. Maybe we could view it from a more story lens, right? Maybe that adds a little bit more wonder into your life versus everything is just black and white. So we're here for the in-between. Moving on to Taurus, sun, moon, and risings. There's a death and rebirth around your relationship to self-worth, which is also tied up with men and money and what it means to be truly intimate. Even if you're not into men, this goes for women as well, but usually as a straight woman, I have to say, self-worth is tied up with men and money as well. So this is a time to build resilience, especially for your business, and reflect on how much you've already developed. And also the resilience comes from a sense of self-worth and knowing that you can handle whatever it is that life throws at you. Moving on to Gemini, sun, moon, and risings. So this is a reboot of how you view relationships, romantic or otherwise. So because we're in Gemini season, I have to say, a lot of people I've met that are Gemini, sun, moon, and risings, they've actually had people walk away from them when they found out they were Geminis. Because Gemini gets a lot of flack for being flighty and inconsistent, especially when it comes to dating. So we don't want to perpetuate that. I myself am a Gemini rising. So take this time to wipe out any unhelpful stories around love and relationships, even regarding business partnerships as well. Removing any beliefs that inhibit you from forging advantageous joint venture business partnerships is really the name of the game for this full moon for you. Don't allow yourself to distract yourself with something else that you find interesting. This is a time to get raw and real and honest with yourself. Because adopting radical honesty and reevaluating your non-negotiables and all kinds of partnerships will benefit you in the long run. This is very much like a longer term vision. For Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, this very sweet, sensitive sign is called to reevaluate and clear out any stagnant routines in favor of activating fun and sensual daily rituals. So you might have fallen into like a morning routine. It's kind of been like a chore. So what needs to be cleared out so that the new energy can come in? What needs to be refreshed? And especially with this interaction right now, what can you do, Cancer, that is going to activate a sense of nourishment within yourself so that you can start your day and feel nourished and replenished throughout the day? Moving on to Leo, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This fiery Sagittarius full moon enlivens and activates the divine inner child within you. So this is a time to come out of hiding and play full out, clearing away any limiting beliefs that say maybe you can't be radiant and joyous and playful and childlike and professional. You can't have it all. I think sometimes people view professional as like being stuffy and lame. But if you're doing your life's work, right, it's going to be fun for the most part. And you don't have to be stuffy and staid and wearing like a three-piece suit, right? So what needs to be cleared so that your childlike energy and indivisible light can shine through any kind of crumbling facade that you've built up for yourself?
Your essential essence, so to speak.
Yes. How can you allow the essential essence to shine through? Let's see, we got Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Risings as well. This is the time to clean house, both literally and energetically, especially around themes such as your roots, your ancestry, your lineage. This is like a very introverted time for you, and it's about healing, right? So it's a time to cultivate nourishment for yourself. Like, what do you need to feel the most nourished? And how can you clean up your house in a way that doesn't make you perfectionistic and you throw everything out, but you don't want to have too much stuff for sentimental reasons so that it's like cluttered. So how can you have that balance? All right, speaking of balance, we have Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings as well. There's a death and rebirth around your messaging, your communication style, and your social media platform of choice. So this could be a good time to do like a social media refresh. But this is mostly a rebirth and evolution of your most authentic voice. The voice is the thing. So you might have been playing small when it comes to broadcasting your message. So this is a good time to ask yourself, what type of PR is best suited for you and your personality? Maybe you find that you do better with speaking. So what kind of podcast can you pitch yourself to? How can you get your truth and message out to the masses so that your most authentic voice can become a beacon for your soulmate clients to find you? If you want to know how to do this, you should contact me. You can find me on Instagram at Melanie_Marisol because I myself offer astrology-informed PR strategy. So if you're looking to do that, I'm your girl. Hit me up. All right, for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Risings, we have death and rebirth around your self-worth. So you're used to living minimalistically and frugally. However, you do secretly like some of the finer things in life. There's no shame about that. So this full moon illuminates your desire for opulence, maybe small daily luxuries, and the self-worth to sustain it. So you're already worthy of all that you desire. You already have, with that Scorpio energy, the ability to have inner resilience. So now this is the time to practice the embodiment required to sustain the luxuries that you want. So say, for example, you want to indulge in high quality supplements. Maybe you might want to have a massage instead of once a year to once a month, right? Have you checked over your finances? Can you really swing it? If you looked at the cold hard facts, and you probably will find that you have more than enough to do it. So you might as well get that stuff in the schedule and just go experience it. You know what I mean? It's a time to, I'm not going to say indulge. It's a time to make self-care beyond indulgence and into normalizing it regularly, right?
Or in a way, in a sense, maybe putting a different prioritization on it. So if you were someone who was putting it off to the back burner, maybe it's time for you to go ahead and make that jump into a ability of having that experience more often to cultivate that energy and that self-care and that self-love for yourself.
Right. And then we got Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising during this full moon in Sagittarius. So This is kind of like a double dose of fiery energy during this particular full moon for you. So this energy could lead to a serious glow up if you put in the work. So this is a time to really clear away any false truths that are no longer helpful in elevating your highest good. It's a time to review what you're really about, who you truly are, and then make the pivot and charge forth in the new direction to your highest evolution. So you might have a tower moment. This is the time that really maybe like whatever ego you have built up, it's the time to wipe it out. But it's okay. Just continue going through with the flow. You'll be fine and you'll look fabulous at the end of it. Let's see, we got our Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and risings. And so this full moon energy is for kind of reprogramming your subconscious mind, kind of also hanging out in the shadowy depths, really facing maybe things that you haven't want to face about yourselves. It's a good time to pull up old programming or habits and patterns, and it's a good time to break them. So Capricorn has a tendency to kind of constantly be looking in the long term and having the big vision. We like that, and they're into the hustle and grind, of course, and they're not messing around with their day-to-day routines. But this is also time to go within and really be like, is the hustle and grind all the time really sustainable for me? It's probably not. It never is for anybody. So this is the time to, again, it's not really self-care per se, but it's more of what needs to be dredged up. Be honest with yourself, look yourself in the face, and realize what you need to leave behind, especially when you're building your empire. As I find most of my clients happen to have a lot of Capricorn energy in their charts. All right, we're rounding it out with Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So your ruling planet Uranus is in a really fun conjunction with hyper-communicative Mercury right now. So this is the energy to place all your intention to shaking up your social life and reevaluating your friend groups and community. This is either online or in real life. So this is a good time to let the word out, promote that you're looking to forge connection with new aligned minds and like-minded people, maybe going on like an app, not necessarily for dating, but for friends. If you find that if you're very spiritual like us, sometimes you find you're a little bit isolated in the physical place you live in. Kind of seems like my spiritual soul family is kind of spread out. So it's a good time to go on the apps, check it out. I think there's that one app for girls. Is that for women to meet other women in like a non-romantic way? You know what I'm talking about?
Bumble. I think you can do yeah, so for Bumble, for example, you can do it both romantically, but they do have Bumble for friends of like cultivating female relationships and just throwing it out there. You get to meet new people, putting yourself out. I know, like Melanie was saying, for myself, we are definitely in that whole cyber world of friendships. But maybe check out the Facebook groups, check out different communities of things that you are actually interested in. Get your feelers out there because there are people who are waiting to meet you.
Yes, yes. And I also have found Aquarius. You might want to check out where Jupiter in Taurus is lighting up whatever area of life for you. For me specifically, my Jupiter has moved into Taurus collectively for everybody, but it's activating my 11th house that houses Aquarius energy of groups and community. So networking and really reaching out to people that I have a connection with online, in Facebook groups, on paid memberships that I'm a part of, and also Instagram, and actually scheduling a Zoom call and meeting people. Relationship building is the name of the game. So this is a good time for that.
Networking, so to speak, but
Networking
not necessarily with the outcome of business relationships.
Right. And it's nice
to go out there, seeing what's available for you, seeing how you can forge connections. And then if it happens to be someone that you can network with later on in the future, it's good to have them in your back pocket. But again, we don't set that as our natural intention. Our intention is connection.
So for me, I've met really cool people the past 2 months since I've joined this paid membership it's called the Podcast Collaborative. So I want to be a guest on podcast and I want to help out the podcast host, for example. Very Aquarian since we're online. So because of that, I am only focusing on building personally my LinkedIn and Instagram platforms because I'm trying to focus. Like I don't want to have my energy going all over the place. So that's another thing too with this particular full moon in Sagittarius. How can we create a container for ourselves while also allowing ourselves to explore, right? You got to have that home base to come home to. And finally, we have the Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So this is a rebirth around your career, your life's work, what you're famous or known for. It's time to clear out any lingering beliefs that your natural zone of genius isn't important enough, right? Just because you might have spiritual gifts, for example, just because it's not immediately seen as valuable in the heavy 3D reality that we live in on planet Earth, doesn't mean that your natural skills are not as valuable as they are. So removing the beliefs that you only have fluffy skills. Someone told me that once in my hometown. When you speak, align your words with an image of who you were born to serve, who you're put on this earth to serve, and that's how you will reach your next level of public recognition and really connect with your soulmate clients. So Pisces, especially on Pisces moon, it's hard. It's hard being super spiritual and psychic. We get it. So your gifts are valuable. Even if people try to make you do it for free, have boundaries, say no, and you will shine.
Beautiful. And as a tidbit for all horoscopes, if there's something you're trying to cultivate right now, if there's an energy that you find yourself gravitating towards, or maybe you are finding yourself really admiring in someone you're connecting with, chances are that's actually a quality you already have within yourself. So be mindful of what's coming up for you, what is coming through as a potential for unleashing it within your own self, because you never know. Maybe you find that you have certain public speakers you really like, and it's their connection, it's their momentum, and it's very possible that those features are things that you actually have within yourself that you just haven't yet given yourself the chance to explore.
Exactly, exactly. And also, if you're really proficient with looking at your chart in general, looking at the descendant, which is always across from the ascendant or rising sign, the descendant are the qualities that you admire in others that are already within yourself, and they usually tend to be the qualities that you look for in a romantic partnership. So, I myself do not do love readings or romance readings. I'm very much like you need to work within yourself first, and usually the love comes along. But that's always interesting to see, like, what kind of person you actually might find yourself attracted to. And also for those that are here in this full moon to kind of reevaluate patterns that don't work out, it's a good thing to check out. Maybe you might notice patterns of types of men or women that you're dating. They usually sometimes have the similar sign. Maybe it's the sign that's not really the best for you. Maybe they have the similar sign, but it's always like the unevolved version. So it's a time to call in the evolved highest form of that zodiac sign, not the childish one. So yeah, that is the end of the collective horoscopes for this full moon in Sagittarius.
Perfect. Well, Melanie, thank you for your lovely insights as always. So go ahead and just give them a little tidbit of how they can further work with you. And that is it for my end. And thank you again for your time.
Yes. So anybody that has watched this to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you found it valuable, you could always take a screenshot of this and tag us on Instagram, either at Arise with Anita or at Melanie_Marisol. And you can also share what you learned or what you thought was valuable. If anybody does want to connect with me, you can connect with me on Instagram at Melanie_Marisol. And if you're interested in doing any type of astrology informed PR strategy, you can connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn with the same name. I love to chat and see how I can help you. I also have a divine assignment in legacy building astrology reading, and you can book a time that works for you below as well.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much. And we will be back in 2 weeks for the new moon coming up. So I'm really excited to see what our next couple of weeks is like. And in the meantime, I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Great.